Welcome, everybody. We are live. It's either I'm really early and nobody is here or nobody's getting the notifications. I don't know, but we are here. So we will get started. How what we think about, how we become what we think about. That's it right here. How do we become what we think about? Because we hear all the time that thoughts become things. But you see, you're in a body, and the body has senses. So you're not just thinking, you're thinking and you're feeling at the same time. But you see, we've allowed ourselves to become so disconnected from our bodies that we don't realize we are also feeling at the same time that we are thinking. Those two things happen simultaneously. Well, three things are happening. You think, you feel, you act. It is all one motion. But because we've disconnected ourselves from our bodies. So we don't feel the feeling anymore. So because we don't feel the feeling anymore, we think, oh, we're just thinking. No. What you are thinking corresponds to your feeling. And the feeling in your body is what is projected outward, because it is the energy, it is the thing that you can feel, right? It is the visible, because the invisible would be the thought. But the invisible has to become visible. So it is projected outward. And when it is projected outward, and I'll tell you right now, what you think about is potent, especially the thing that you've been thinking about over and over and over again. You've become obsessive with that thought. It has great power behind it. What kind of power? Magnetic. And when the thought is magnetized, what do you think? Remember the motion of creation. It is projected, which is masculine, into the womb, and then something is given birth to and projected back to you, right? So what you've done is you've pushed it out, and whatever force you've used to push it out is the force it has to come back with. The law of rhythm, yes? Compensation. So if you push hard with that feeling in your body, that is the experience and the type of experience you'll have coming right back at you. So that is how we become what we think about. We think we're just thinking. Oh, it's just no, I'm not talking about a fleeting thought like gas. I'm not talking about that kind of a thought. I'm speaking about the incessant thought that you have. You know, the one you're always thinking all the time. That is your home state, as Neville Goddard calls it, the thing you believe yourself to be. And because you believe yourself to be it, you have to see the evidence of it. Why? Because you are projecting it outward. So you have to give birth to it. You have to give birth to the experience that comes back. This is why Neville also says to deny your senses. I will give you more on that another time. Why the importance of denying the senses. You're not denying them because they don't exist. You are not giving power to them because you understand why they exist. There is a difference between the two. So what is that thought today that you've got? It's the burr in your saddle, the thing you do all the time, that particular phrase that comes out of your mouth all the time. With your words, you are creating your experiences. So what is that thing that you keep hearing because you're saying it to yourself, and then you listen to it because you say it to yourself, and then you act according to it? What is that? As soon as you pinpoint it, jot it down. Just jot it down. And when you do that, now you can see it. Now you can see the thing that has been plaguing you. What are you going to do? Look at that thing. It is not your enemy. It is not your punishment. It is the thorn in your paw. And how do you get rid of a thorn from your paw? Tweezers, and you pluck it out. Which means you've been doing that thing for a while. What would you prefer to do instead? How do you prefer to behave instead? And because you can see it, because you have it written down, now you can see clearly, because remember, the problem has the seed of the solution in it. So if you have to just recall, like, oh, what is that thing again? Now write it down, because you can see it now. And when you see it, you know what the problem is. You can see the solution clearly. What you're doing when you write it down is giving clarity to the situation. But you don't just write it down because you just want to see it. No, you want to see it so you can clearly change it. That's why you write it down. Some people say, oh, you write it down and then you burn it. Right? Once you have seen it for what it is, now you can generate the new behavior, the new way of being. And that is the behavior you persist in doing, because we are already skilled at persistence. You are already persisting in the thing that holds you back, your way of thinking. That's what you're doing. So the next time you hear thoughts become things, you now know how. How? Because it is not a random fly-by-night thought like gas. It is the persistent thought. But the persistent thought is accompanied by a bodily sensation, because you are in a body. You are in it. You're one with it. But you are also above it. Your body takes direction from you. Your body serves you. But right now, we live in a world where we serve our bodies. And that's why we don't pay attention to the sensation. It is happening. If somebody annoys you, when you think of them, your body responds to the annoyance. And because you don't pay attention to that sensation of annoyance, right? You have projected it outward. And you've projected it outward with that level of annoyance. So now it has to come back. Do you see why it feels like a punishment? Do you see why it feels like a punishment? It feels like a punishment when you are unaware of what you are doing. You are tasked with being aware of yourself. That is your task. But that task has greater importance than we think it does at the moment. I promise I will share more. Right now, I have to get the clarity and the right words and the right analogies, but I will explain. But if you practice being aware of your persistent thoughts, you will catch the sensation in your body, and you will see why you are creating what you're creating in your experiences. And you will also see how to stop it. Well, how do you stop it? Well, you've got 7 options: mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, causation, and gender. You have 7. Choose one and apply it. Because in choosing one, you've chosen all 7. When you see one, you've seen all 7, because one is 7. Because they can't be separated, they are one. But you see the whole in part. You see the whole law, but in parts. Because the parts are whole in themselves. So when you choose one law, if you look at your problem and you say, oh God, I'm always thinking this way and I'm always doing this thing, now you have a decision. What would you prefer to do instead? So to do that, you must first make a choice. Not a choice for someone or from someone, but the choice that is best suited to you. The choice that is best suited to you, you choose. So you know what? This will not do for me anymore. Well, if that will not do, what will? Because you cannot have a void. The law of causation tells you you cannot have a void. You can't have a hole. Every cause has an effect. Every effect, a cause. So if you make a choice, which is a cause, you will bring about the desired effect that you're seeking to change about yourself. Now, that effect has a particular attitude and sensation in your body. Yes? Because it just does. It is law, correspondence, as above, so below. So the thought above has a sensation that matches it in your body. And that sensation in your body causes you to act. So what is the behavior that accompanies your new way of being? Do that behavior. Why do you do that behavior? Because the behavior confirms, corresponds with thought and word. The sensation in your body causes you to speak, but it's from that spoken directive that you behave. It is one motion: thought, word, action, one thing. But remember, they're not one thing split into 3. It is one thing. And when you see the 3, you see one. The action, this is why you can go backwards. If you look at the action that you're doing and you don't like it, what action would you like? Then do that action, because when you do that action, then you speak. And when you speak, now there's the thought. Backwards and forwards, because you're only ever doing one thing. The action will show you the thought and the word. The word will show you the thought and the action. It is one. I trust this is making some modicum of sense for you today, because it is how we become what we think about. The incessant thing that plagues your mind, that is your home of thought, your habitual way of thinking. That habitual way of thinking has a habitual way that your body feels. You can no longer be disconnected from your body. You're in it. Your body, my body, is named Angela. But what is within my body that animates Angela? That is what gives the directive to my body. And the body must obey because it is the law of correspondence. So you see, there is no change that you cannot accomplish. But what have we done? As people, we've allowed the body to dictate. We've allowed our bodies to dictate what we are, what is possible, and what we become. That is not acceptable. That will bring you great problems. Look at the state of the world. You will know exactly what I'm saying. Your body is meant to serve you. Your body is meant to serve you, not to rule you. You are the thing that animates the body. Without you in it, the body ceases to be. So who's giving the order? But you don't force your body. You don't have to force your body. You just tell it. Remember the story in the Bible with Moses. When the children of Israel were in the desert and they were thirsty, and God said to Moses, speak to the rock and the water will come forth. But you see, Moses, he got mad because the people, they were rescued from Egypt. They saw the power and the might of God every day. With plague after plague, they saw the power of God, and they got in the desert and they said, you brought us out here to die. And Moses got angry and he hit the rock. At least that's how I remember the story. He hit the rock and the water came forth. What is that going to tell you? Whether you force your body or you are gentle with it, it will perform as you command. But you see, he hit the rock from what place? A place of anger. He allowed the emotion to rule his body. So you don't have to allow your emotions to rule your body. Recognize the role that your emotions play. If you recognize the role that the emotions play, now you are a better commander of your body. That is the purpose. Again, it is further reaching than we know at the moment. For we know in part and we prophesy in part, but when that which is perfect is come, then we will know the whole, the entirety of the thing. But the beauty of the law of correspondence is this. If you use the law of correspondence, what is the law of correspondence? As above, so below. If you can understand right where you are with your body, then you will begin to understand what is above you and how it works. Why? Because the part is always going to show you the whole picture. It is called a fractal. The fractal shows you the whole thing, just in a piece. We learned this in TCM school. Don't mind my squeaking bed. Hold on, y'all. I gotta sit up some more. When you see in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine, I can treat your ear. I can put needles in your ear, the oracle of your ear, and I will influence your whole body. Because that, you see the spine of the ear, the ridge back there of the oracle of the ear, that is your spine. You see the soft part that we pierce to put our earrings in? That's the head. But it is also the shape of the fetus. Yes, when your head down, rump and legs up. Now you understand what a fractal is. This is why you can use one law and use all seven at the same time. Because you see it, you look like you're looking at a part. Oh, I'm just looking at the oracle of the ear. No, you're seeing the whole body in that part. So that is what the law of correspondence is teaching you. You can see your part, but the whole of existence is in your part, is in you. So if you see your existence, you get a better understanding of the existence of all. As above, so below. So below, as above. So that is how we become what we think about. We become what we think about because we are having a particular persistent thought. We are aware or unaware of a persistent thought. But that thought is accompanied by a bodily sensation because you are inside your body. And it's talking, it is corresponding, and it is telling you something. But when you become aware of what your body is telling you, that is when it does the law of gender. It projects masculine. It projects outward that incessant thought, that image that you hold. And when it projects it outward, what's out there? Oh, you think the world is out there. No, a womb surrounds you, beautiful friends. A womb is surrounding you. You cannot see it. You only see the evidence of what comes out of the womb, which is your experience. So you project that thing. Well, how are you projecting it? Well, that depends on how that thing makes you feel. Remember the law of rhythm. The measure of swing to the right is matched by the swing to the left. So if that thing gets you like anger, like Moses, and he hit the rock with his staff, well, that's the measure. That's the force that has to come back. So that's how you will know when you pay attention to what you are experiencing. That will tell you the kind of emotion you're feeling, the kind of power you have behind your emotion. And again, I know sometimes it seems as if it is a punishment, but it is not a punishment. It is law. How can you possibly know? Because we are immaterial, invisible, yet we are visible. So, in order for you to see what is invisible, it has to take shape. And the force behind your projection, that's the shape it takes, because that's what's fueling it. Let's take a moment, shall we, to welcome everyone into the space. I got to take off my glasses for some things. Let me see if I can manage. I'll look over the top. Who's here on Twitter this morning? Hey, Yak and Jeff. It's so good to see you all. Oh, for sure it is. It's very good to see you. It's very good to see you here on this lovely Monday morning in the Twitter sphere. It is good. Now, who is here on Fanbase? We have Flo Smiles, My Melanin, Casey, Oracle Treehouse, Summer Rose, Yolanda, and Zola. It is so good to see you all here on this lovely, lovely Monday morning. And on Facebook, we have Indy. I do have to take my glasses off for this part so I can see. YouTube, who do we have? Oh, Lord, I got to get the bowl, y'all. Hold on. Hold on a minute. And then I'll read you who's here. I'll hit the bowl. We have a new member. Ah, there it is. Now we don't have an obstruction. Welcome. Our new member today is that Walker girl. It is good to see you. Let's see who's here. We have Queen Red Pill. Cyber, I've missed you. Marjorie. David, hello. And that Walker girl, those are the ones who've made themselves known in the chat. And for all the others who've not made themselves known, I see you. And the replay gang, I see you too. Yes, I do. So let's get back to it. Stretch out now. It is a most spectacular thing when you recognize that look at the power you have. Hey, Tiffany, look at the power you have. You have the power to think, to speak, and to create from your thoughts and your speech. This is why you are charged with being aware. Being aware. I was speaking to one of my beautiful friends the other day, and she said to me, I am so much more cautious about what I say now, or think about myself, or what I put out there. Well, you have to be. When you come into the awareness that it is you, you will realize that that is not a punishment. That is a very good thing to know that it is you. You know why? Because you're not a victim. When you realize that you are the one in control of creating your experiences, you will choose those experiences wisely and with care. That's what you do. See that's sometimes I don't have the words to express what I want to convey to you and the depths of it, of what I want to convey to you. If you could see it, your power, then you would not allow it to be usurped. Meaning, you wouldn't allow somebody to just come and say, oh, yoink, I'm going to take that. They don't just come and grab it out of your hand. Oh, hell no. They can't do that. But what they can come and do, they can come and tell you, oh, you're nobody. Oh, you think you're smart. Oh, you think you're beautiful. Somebody lied to you. They can come and tell you these things and make you feel insignificant, try to make you feel inferior. Because you know why? They can't take it from you because they didn't give it. Nobody can remove your light, but they can shroud it and make you think you don't have one. And when you think you don't have a light, well, you think you're in the darkness. You think you are darkness, and thus you begin to behave like darkness. So that's why it's important for you to understand your power. It is not power that one lords over someone else. It is the power to look and to think and to speak and to act in the way that confirms what you are creating. It is the power to understand that you are the one giving the order, not being ordered. I know that that's challenging, sometimes even for me to get my head around. What do you mean? I'm in control of myself? Yes. Yes, you are. That's the part that Why would I do that to myself? Why would I put myself in that situation? We put ourselves in situations because we forget. We forget. So, what are you going to do? Get up every day and remember who you are. Get up every day and walk in that remembrance. That's why that hymn says, "New every morning is the love, our awakening and uprising proves, through sleep and darkness safely brought, restored to life and power and thought." That's why that hymn exists, you know. Somebody recognized something and wrote about it. Every morning you get up is new. But what do? We drag yesterday into today. And we do not give today its own merit. That is because we have forgotten. You have to remember every day. Seems like a lot of work, doesn't it? But it is well worth it. When you begin to understand that that is the work, you'll stop fighting and struggling. The work is remembering. How do you remember? Stillness. Stillness is how one remembers. But, Angela, stillness doesn't pay the bills. I want you to comprehend what I'm saying to you. You are in control. If you are in control, then all things bend to your will. So are bills a problem? But they can't be. Why are they not a problem? Because you have the capacity to command the solution to show itself. We don't wait for problems to arise. Solve them before they start. How so? By recognizing that you are the one in control. When we give in to the notion that we are at the mercy of something or someone, that's when we forget. And that's when we become overwhelmed by our situations. I can't do this. I can't do that. I don't know how. You don't know how? You use the law. That's how. You always know how. You use the law. What is the situation? You know, polarity is asking you, where are you now and what are you doing? Acknowledge where you are and what you are doing. That way you'll be able to see where you want to be and what you would rather be doing, and then you create that. That's what you do on a daily basis. Does that make sense to you? Yes, Queen Red Pill, we persist. Why do you persist? We persist because if you remember the law of vibration, everything moves, nothing is standing still. It is either you are persisting in the new or you are persisting in the old. But either way, you are persisting. I have been smelling my mother's seasoning all morning since 4 o'clock. That just came out of nowhere, I know, but I have been in it. It's just gotten to me right now, and I don't know why. But anyway, I digress. You have the power You look at yourself. You don't judge it. You don't beat yourself up. Because when you see the force and the energy, yes, cyber compensation, you see what you're beating yourself up with, that is force. And that is a very powerful feeling in your body. And that powerful feeling is what you use to thrust your projection outward. So, however much force you use to thrust that projection outward, brace yourself because it's coming back. That's the point this morning. That is the point this morning. That is how we become what we think about. They're not random things. They're not one-off things. Nah, it's the persistent thing you're always doing. Your home state. Cyber says Neville talks about the two thieves crucified with Jesus representing the past and the future. Most are busy reliving in the past or worried about the future, so they're robbed of the present. But of course, that's what it is. How can you fully enjoy right now? How can you fully enjoy right now and here's the thing, because the past that you're living from, especially if it has hurt you, that past experience, we call it trauma, right? You see the force of that trauma in your memory and in your body. Oh, you know it. You are so familiar with it. You know it so well. That is the force you are now using to project it outward again into the womb. And the womb is ever faithful. It can only give you back what you have planted in it. And then, as I said, we have the audacity to say, why is my life not changing? Because we keep reliving the past. When you recall it, it viscerally has this sensation in your body. It will either tighten up your chest or tighten up your gut or your jaw, but it has got a grip on your body. And that sensation in your body is telling you the force by which you are projecting it outward. And then you wonder why it seems to be getting worse. Because the more you project it outward and the more you experience it, the more agitated you become with it. And the more agitated you become, that's the force you thrust it out with again because you're annoyed with it. And you thrust it out there with that force, and then it comes back and it hits you, and you get mad and you throw it out, and it comes back and it hits you in a never-ending cycle. And you think you're being punished when in actuality, you're not being punished. It is self-inflicted. Christ almighty. That's the part we need to grasp. And because that is known, because we like to conspiracy theory, right? You must understand, conspiracy theory or not, the law exists. So why do you think humanity is running around punishing themselves and screaming to the devil? Because they do not know that they're the ones projecting it outward. Why do you think it's important for you to not know that? Because then you remain the victim. You remain the victim of your circumstance. And all anybody has to do is create a circumstance. So now do you see? And we think it is just earth, right? We think it is just earth. Earth is just where your body is. Earth is just where your body is. That's it. But Where's the animating factor? You then, your spirit, where's that? How is that affected? Okay. You keep thinking that somehow Earth is the be all and end all. And then you listen, get up every day and be grateful for the fact that you know the law, that you are no longer stuck in an unsavory situation. You're no longer stuck as a victim, but you are now the victor. Get up every morning and know that within you, you have the power to create your circumstance. Well, I don't believe you, Angela. You don't have to believe me. You have to observe what you're currently doing and see that you are creating it. How do you know you're creating it? Because you're the one that says, why does this happen to me all the time? Why can't I seem to change? That's how you know what you're creating. But you see, the thing with sovereignty is it requires courage. Sovereignty requires courage. Why does it require courage? Because you have to take responsibility for you. There's no greater gift than that. To take responsibility and accountability, give an account of what you're doing. To whom? Yourself. Look at what you're doing. Let the last 10 minutes be the last time we waste the awareness that is within us. Remember the law of correspondence, as above, so below. If there is awareness within you, in you, there's awareness above you, and there's awareness beneath you. Well, then play your role. Marjorie, I used to be so proud of my memory. Now I am. Oh no, I don't think so. I'm creating the new, revise and rewrite. Well, yes. Yes. That's I can I can attest to that. Memory serves us well in different aspects. You know, baking and experiencing things. But when it comes to recalling the trauma that happened in our lives, that is the ill use of memory. Nobody's telling you to forget it, that it didn't happen. That's not what's being said. Become aware that the more you remember it and the more you feel it, the more you recreate it. And do you want more of that or less of it? That is what is being asked. Do you want more of it or less of it? Well, if you want more of it, carry on. Do you, boo boo, do you? But if you want less of that, then do less of that behavior, which is the remembering of the thing that hurt. But you see, what we have done, we hold on to that hurt as a way to remind ourselves, oh, let's not get hurt again. But you're guaranteed to be hurt again. Why? Because you're carrying the hurt. You're recreating the hurt because you're projecting it outward. Because you're looking into the world, you're looking into the present, but you're using your old prescription on your glasses to do it. So you're only ever going to see by way of the old prescription. You're not going to see what's actually there. You're always going to see through the lens of the past. So if you see through the lens of the past, you will behave by way of the past. That is how we become what we think about. That is how we do it, day in and day out. Day in and day out, we do it. And then we, out of frustration, shake our fists to the sky and say, my God, why hast thou forsaken me? That's what we say. It's what we say. But you're not powerless. Spend some time. And here's the thing. Dr. Joe Dispenza says, you have to become no thing. You're just not thinking about anything. There is truth in that. Because if you sit there and you just breathe, you already know your body. You already know what your body feels like and where it is. But what you don't know, because we've forgotten, what's inside it. That's what we don't know. I've heard so many times, and so many people of great import, I've heard them say that we are learning ourselves and transmitting that information back to, quote unquote, God, so God can remember itself. I want you to sit here and think for just one moment. Do you think God has ever forgotten itself? The all cannot and will not forget itself, because there is none but the self. It is not learning itself, it knows itself. It is man who has forgotten themselves. It is man who is doing the learning and the remembering, not the all. But I say, if you use the law of correspondence, the law of correspondence tells you as above, so below. So how does the all behave? It is self-moving, which means it does not rely upon emotions, because it doesn't have a body. You have a body, but we've allowed our bodies to bewitch us. Oh, you insulted me. You hurt my feelings. Oh, you take great offense. Again, that's another day. Spend some time just simply sitting there with your eyes closed if you want to. You can sit with them open, but sooner or later they'll close. You know what your body feels like. You know what your heartbeat feels like. You know what your breathing feels like. You know that about you physically. But the longer you sit there and the more frequently you sit there, you will become aware of what is within your body, which is you. Everybody talks about reality transurfing, talk about the fifth dimension. I'm like, do you know what's inside your body first? How about we start there? Start there. Why there? Because when you start by knowing what is within, now you fully begin to embrace the power you actually have. And then you will begin to understand that your body takes direction from you and does not control you. Remember, greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Greater is the animator than the animation. Without the animator, the animation ceases to be. So which of the two is greater? Yes, that's who is greater. And again, it's not greater in a conceited way. It is a greater in the understanding or the comprehension of, oh, I am capable of so much more. So the next time somebody says to you, you can heal your body, you don't give them the side eye. How can you heal your body? By recognizing that you're in your body and your body responds to the command that you give it. This is why Dr. Joe Dispenza speaks with such conviction, because he lay in his hospital bed and he saw his vertebrae because he was run over. He saw his vertebrae in his mind's eye. And the animator that resides within Joe's body knit it back together. If I'd have had that knowledge, to that understanding, the good news is I know better now, a little bit, just a little bit, so I can apply a little bit more. That's what I'm telling you this morning. That's the power you have within you. But somebody came along and said, no, you don't. You can't heal yourself. What kind of voodoo dog is that? You can't do this. You can't self-teach. You can't. Oh, Lord. And because we don't know who we are, we allow that to overpower who we are. That's what we've allowed ourselves to do. We've allowed ourselves to be deceived with the thought that we are somehow lesser. But let me go back here, because Cyber says I've been using the law in my dreams. So I think my subconscious finally accepted it as a working sixth sense. If something bad is about to happen, I feel good and it instantly disappears. Cyber. The other night I drove a car off a cliff in a dream and used a law to freeze the world right before it hit the ground, so I got out of the car safely. Cyber. I know, right, Tiffany? Yikes! Like Neville's dream of being in a restaurant where he suspended time. Yes! He spoke about that. And Queen Red Pill. Now you get what you want. Do you want more? By Bob Marley. See? And yes, Marjorie and Cyber, we are that powerful. But how are you supposed to know if... But again, it is by design. The average human is so consumed with Caesar. You know, Caesar. Bills, 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 can you pay my bills? Right? We're consumed with Caesar. And because we're so consumed with Caesar, we are lulled into forgetfulness of what we are and what we are capable of doing. Caesar has to bow to you. See, that takes on a whole new attitude. It takes on a whole new attitude to say, wait, what? Caesar bows to me? What you mean Caesar bows to me? It means that you don't work to pay bills. You put the bills in perspective. You don't get up and go to a job you quote unquote hate because you're tired of being a slave in the matrix. But recognize you have the power to bend and shape the world around you so that bills are no longer a problem. that attitude is the one you start to behave with. And you're not pretending, because you can't pretend that kind of attitude. You have to walk with that attitude. You have to do what? That attitude has to permeate your entire fiber of everything that you are, which means you have to come into the knowing that the thing that animates your body is the thing that has the power to bend and shape and mold the body so that it does what it's meant to do. Mm. I trust that today something made sense to you. I trust that it does. If you have questions, you can slide into my DMs, because I don't want to take up so much time. And, so if you have a question, slide into my DMs and I will do a live stream on that question, because you can't be the only one with the question. Marjorie, girl, I can't even call you girl. That's so rude. Marjorie, yes. That attitude keeps me in power. I am your boss, 3D. I tell you what to do. You see the difference between I and me? Me is the body. I is the animator of the body. This is why people say the breath is so important. The breath is invisible. And in order for the invisible to become visible, you have to see the breath. What's your breath? The body. The body needs that breath in it, yes? So the invisible, which is I, and then you condition the I with am, because you give it form when you say am. But the I is formless and shapeless. And when you say am, you're giving it a form. What is that form? The name after it. I'm cheese. So I, and as soon as you say am, you're giving it a shape. What is that shape you're giving it? What is that attitude you're giving it? I is the invisible, the formless, the shapeless. Body is me. Yeah? When somebody asks you, who is it? You say, it's me. Me, who? You see? So me has a name. But it is the I, the self, the formless and shapeless, that gives shape to the existing world around us. And that's where listen, when you come to that grasp, when you get it, and the way to get it is to practice it. How do you practice it? How do you practice it? By creating. That's how you practice. By creating. How do you create? Get the image. And you have a body, so you can't leave that out. What's the body feel like? So if you say, I'm creating whatever it is you're going to create, you have to know that when you say, I'm creating that, now, what's that sensation in your body? Project that. That same passion that you project everything else with. Oh, but I don't know if it's going to happen. I don't know if that's possible. Ah, you see? Keep practicing till you break through that. Until you break through, I don't know if that's possible. How do you know something is possible or not? So long as you have the image, it is possible to recreate. That's why the formless takes a form. You have to have something to recreate. You have to give it form. And we give it form by giving it a name. So, what are you creating? But if you're struggling with the, I don't know if I can do that, I don't know if that is possible, Neville Goddard says, try this. What would it be like if you had that thing you were creating? Because you're in a body, remember? So, what would it be like? Well, you would walk a certain way, you would talk a certain way, you would behave a certain way, you would treat people a particular way. Do that. Because when you do that, you stop thinking of it and you start living from it. Why are you living from it? Because you're doing it. You're not waiting for it to appear. You are behaving as if. Well, how can you behave as if? Because you know you've planted it into the womb of creation. It's taking form. As soon as you put the image out there, it is done. But we are slow moving in the 3D. So you start to behave as if, which means I got a new attitude. How you walking? I'm walking. Yes, indeed. And I'm talking about you and me, right? How you walking? How you talking? How you behaving? They'll begin to do that because that is the evidence. That's the blueprint that you're recreating. So start doing that. And you will notice, because you're already doing it, you've been doing that thing for so long, it's second nature, it's autopilot, that whatever that thing is. So this new attitude that you have adopted, your new way of living, you know, what would it be like if? Well, it would be like this. And begin to show it to yourself by the actions, by doing it. Because remember, what happens? The action shows you the word that you spoke. And the word that you spoke shows you the thought that you had. Because they're all one thing. You see a part of it, you've seen all. So now you're no longer sitting there going, is it happening now? No, your behavior has told you it is done. So because you are now doing that behavior day in and day out, day in and day out, that's your new, you are persisting in the new way. And because you are persisting in the new way, when that new way becomes the old way, meaning you do it autopilot, you can put one hand behind your back and do it, then the thing materializes. It doesn't have a choice. So now you know. Did I just miss something here? Wait. MC says, she says she can confirm that sliding into Angela's DMs is fire. I love you, MC. You're awesome. You are. Cyber says he had no idea that the I stood for invisible. Cyber. MC says, I've cleaned up my point of view. I've got to listen. I have been singing that song. Patti LaBelle. I'm gonna put the link to the video in the description. The reason, listen, when a song gets stuck in your head, what are you doing? And listen to the words. She says, like MC says, I tidied up my point of view. I've got a new attitude. I'm in control. My worries are few. know where I'm going, and I know what to do, right? And she's telling you that this new attitude, she says she's got a new dress and a new hat. She's got a new attitude. So what you have to understand here is when you are creating that thing, there is a behavior associated with the creation. It's an attitude. This is why Neville says live from it, which means you get up and you do the behavior. Oh, you single? What does a married woman behave like? What does a married woman behave like? What is her attitude? What are her thoughts on a daily basis, a married woman? Begin to have that attitude in your mind then. And then begin to practice it. Do it. This is why when he said, you put the ring on your finger and you twirl it around, you imagine it being there. Yeah, but what does she behave like? What does a wife behave like? Well, she ain't behaving like a hoe, I'll tell you that. Oh, hold on to them pearls. So what does a married woman behave like? What does a married man behave like? Oh, glass house. Understand me when I tell you. What does a teacher behave like? You say you want to be a teacher. You say you want to be what is it that you say you're creating? Well, then what do they behave like? What is their attitude? You think Dr. Jordan Peterson walks into a room with slouched shoulders? Nah, he walks into that room and he takes command of it. Why? Because he knows. He has faith in what he knows. Because he has faith in who he is. So if you say that you're whatever you are, begin to have the attitude of that. Because it is the attitude that you are showing your body, but you're not just showing your body, you are bending and shaping your reality. See, you can't see it. You can't see it because you're like, oh, it's not here yet. Well, do you have faith in what you created or not? If you said, I am that, I am, well, then behave like it. And when you behave like it has to take shape. So you're not sitting and waiting, you're not hoping, you're not pretending, you're not doing any of that. You are doing what it is. You are recreating what you say you are with your new attitude. So then you're done waiting. You don't have to pretend. You don't fake it till you make it. That's the thing they say. You don't have to fake anything because that's not what you're doing. We don't deal with illusions here. Deal with the reality. The reality is you said, I am that. I'm a housewife. Well, then, by golly gee, what the hell does she behave like? I'm a really great student. What does a student who is keen to learn behave like? Begin to behave like that. Because you know what? The behavior takes you back to your words, and the words take you back to the thought. And the thought is the image that you projected outward by way of law of gender, and you said, I am that. And because you hold up that image, well, then you think it, you speak it, you act like it, and in due time it materializes. It cannot materialize if you don't hold the image. What? Wait, what? If you don't hold that image, well, you're the one, you are projecting it outward. You're the stencil. In your mind's eye, you have shaped I into something. So if you persist in the behavior of what I became, when you said I am that, you became it. So if you became it, that's why you persist in it. You became it, persist in it. But oh my God, it's not here yet. A funny thing happens to your body when you persist. Your body, by way of law of correspondence, your body rewires itself for the experience because you're living it now. You're saying a teacher behaves like this, you know? You're saying a student behaves like this, and you start to behave in that fashion. You are confirming to your body right here, right now, that you are who you say you are. But you want to sit there and wait for the thing. The thing is showing you the evidence of who you say you are. So the thing, which is the form and the shape, is confirming to you the invisible. So the thing you hold in your mind is invisible. And when you are doing the actions that match that invisible thing, the visible has to take shape to manifest, to show you what you have inside. But if you do not persist, then it will not take shape. You have aborted it. So that's why your attitude, which is your state of mind, has to match who you say you are. And then the outside takes shape to show you, oh, you are right. That is who I said I was. But we want signs to proceed, do we? Signs cannot happen first. The sign is the manifested evidence of the invisible. You said, I am that. And that's what you whispered to yourself in the wee hours of the morning. And you got up and you started to behave like it. Well, then, the cold, hard evidence has to show you itself by way of a physical experience. But if you do not persist in the invisible behavior, how can you see the evidence? But again, I ain't gonna preach. Hey, sugar visions. Okay, wait, I'm coming there. Being slow in the 3D is an illusion, isn't it? Just as not being able to see what's going on behind the scenes. Things are coming together. Um, if you hear people talk about their death experience, they will tell you that things happened instantly because they were formless. So things happened instantly. If they say I wanted to go over there, as soon as they said over there, they were over there. There was no delay. It's not that it's an illusion. It's taking shape. It has to take the shape of what you molded it as. So the 3D takes shape because you've molded it into that shape. So what's going on behind the scenes is what's going on behind the scenes. You know it's happening because you planted it. So you know it's growing. Cyber, does that make sense? In my father's house, there are many mansions, but of course, you have many things to choose from. But that's exactly it. You persist and you don't take no for an answer. You can't take no for an answer because you just conditioned your I, your formless and shapeless self, into something. That's what you've done. The invisible part of you, you have just molded it and shaped it into something. And because you've molded it and shaped it into something, it's imaginary. It's in your mind. Nobody else can see it around you but you. So is it real or is it not? It is real. So in order now, because remember, the body, as above, so below, the body has to confirm what you're telling it. So now you're showing your body by way of your behavior who you say you are. Here's the image, and here's how the image behaves. That's what you're doing. So now all the inner workings, bridge of incidents, Neville calls it, behind the scenes, all of that is coming together because it has to manifest, because that's what manifest means. Manifest means a record of what is inside. That's all manifest means. A manifest is a record of what is inside the cargo on the ship, the passengers on the plane. That is what a manifest is. To manifest is to see on the outside of yourself what you hold inside your mind. That's what it is. That is why the behavior is important. Yes, it really does. It just, and that's how you test it, by practicing. Begin to behave like the thing and the person you say you are. You're confident. How does a confident person talk? You don't know how they talk. Look it up. Let's not just use Google for other things, but focus where you want to use Google. How does a confident person behave? That's what you do. Begin to behave like that, because that's what you say you are. So confirm it to yourself by way of your behavior. And that new behavior, you persist in that new behavior, because you have a new attitude. You have to have a new behavior. Because when you have a new attitude and a new behavior, you get a new experience. Eh? But if you don't stick with the new attitude and the new behavior, you cannot have a new experience. The experience has nothing to follow. It has nothing to take shape after. That's why the attitude and the behavior are what bring about the experience. I trust that it makes sense. Lord, yikes! Look at the time. Man, y'all are patient. I don't know if I have Lance tonight. Um, I know that Lance is swamped, I'll tell you that. Moving will do that to you, unpacking and working with tradesmen. I can only imagine how swamped they are right now. So tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with or without Lance, I'll be here and we'll do a Bible story. But of course, I've gotten used to Monday nights, and I'm sure you have too. And so you can slide into my DMs and let me know if you had a particular thing in mind. I know Revelations was suggested, but that begs more time for me too, because it is Revelations. So I actually have to. I finally found my Bible. Hello. I found my large print Bible. I did. So I can do that. But let me know. You can slide into my DMs and let me know if there's a story that you want to use to learn the law, especially if you grew up in a Christian household. I'm not, listen, I'm not here to tell you what God is what God and what God is not. I'm simply showing you the law by way of scripture and how to interpret it by way of law. I'm not concerning myself with who's Jewish, who's Christian, who's Muslim. That all holy books have the essence of the law within them. They all have their origin from the law. All I do is show you where the law is. Right? That's what I'll leave you with. We're going to hit the bowl right now on YouTube. So if you want to be a part of that, to get your day up and at 'em, because I know I shared a lot with you, but let me sum it up for you. The new thought is your new attitude, because you say who you are. Right? Well, then your behavior has to match your new attitude new behavior, new experience. New attitude, new behavior, new experience. One more time. New attitude, new behavior, new experience. You do that, and the physical bends to your will. What was your will? Your new attitude was your will that you projected out into the world. That is how we become what we think about. Ooh, okay, I see you. So, yeah, Revelation. It's not that it's tough. It's grave detail. Um, Psalms, yes. Simon and Peter. Ooh. Okay, I've got 3 recommendations already. Um, Geck and Muck45. I see you here on Twitter. And so for the replay gang on Twitter, that would be, I know, Jeff and Cuddles and Lilith. Oh, and that honest guy. I will see you all over on YouTube if you want to partake in the bowl. The bowl plays for a good, like, I think 3 to 5 minutes. And that way, it's just a nice thing if you want to be there. So I'll see you later, Twitter. Yeah, me do that. Twitter is closed. All right, fan base. Mm, um, Jaded. Did I say jaded housewife? Jaded housewife came in after I said what I said. It's okay. I see you, jaded housewife. Coach, I see you. Anu, I see you. Miss McQueen, Flow Smiles, My Melanin, KZ, Oracle Treehouse, Summer Rose. She probably, listen, whenever she finally meets me, she probably gonna shake me with that. Angela, Yolanda, Zola. I see you all here this morning on Fanbase. Thank you for being here and sharing your time with me and your love with me. It is greatly appreciated. You know, the link in my link tree will take you to YouTube so we can hit the bowl. And tonight, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, whether on Lance Scurv on YouTube or under my own Positively Angela, we will do a Bible story by way of law, is what we'll do. So I look forward to seeing you tonight. Flo Smiles, what is this picture? What you got there? What'd you make? Is it cake? It looks like cake, but I don't know. I'll see y'all on YouTube, y'all. Mwah, much love. Oh, Coach, can you check your DMs? Much love, everybody. Much love. All right. So fan base is closed. Let me get in here now so that I can. I just saw your MC. I just saw your new dress. Hey Zola. Yes. Now let me go in here and look at that. We got the sugar. Oh, it was pancakes. You know, Sugar Visions. Have you ever heard of a Deutsch baby? A Deutsch or a Dutch baby. They have a, what you call it? It's a pancake too, but it's in a cast iron skillet. Oh, girl. Ooh, child. Mm. Oh yeah. Now that's a pancake. Yes. All right, y'all. Let me hit the bowl for you.